Hey, everybody, what is going on? Serial Overdrive here, and today we're going to be doing a tier list of every monument in the console version of Rust. So this is a pretty simple concept. We're going to be going over every monument in Rust. We're going to be going over where they rank as far as best to worst monuments, and when you should be running these monuments, because a lot of you are just getting things wrong, and I'm hoping that this can help. But before we get into that, I want to ask you one thing. Can you hit the subscribe button? A lot of you have been complaining about your aim. You've been wanting some sort of details on how to get aim better and everything like that. And here we go, because I know this is a really requested topic. Grab your mouse, lower the DPI, slowly and carefully drag it over to that subscribe button. And without moving, without flinching, without getting sweaty palms or anything like that, just click down real fast. You've hit the subscribe button, you've done it. I've been looking at the stats, and it's a huge amount of you that seem to be missing that button, so I want to help you out, and I have faith that you're going to be able to hit it this time. So before it gets awkward, let's just get into the video. So here we go. The best monument is definitely going to be launch site. The reason behind this is pretty simple. It's the only place that you can really reliably get tier 3 components. So the way that looting, or basically loot, works in Rust, or monument loot works in Rust, is you've got 3 different types of boxes. You've got your elite crates, you've got military crates, and then you've got just generic boxes. Your elite crates, that's where you're going to be getting your tier 3 components. Your military crates are where you're going to be getting your tier 2 components, and your generic boxes are where you're going to get tier 1 components. Generic boxes really don't matter that much because you can find them along any road or anything like that. And tier 2 components you can find in a few different monuments. They're sort of randomly spawned in these monuments. And launch site is pretty much the only place that you can ever find a tier 3 box, or reliably find one. There are airdrops, and every now and then there's going to be events where boxes drop at Airfield or various monuments throughout the map, but launch site is the only one where you can reliably find those tier 3 boxes and get those tier 3 components. Tier 3 components are what all the big boys want, because that's basically how you get to endgame, and that's where you're going to get the most scrap if you recycle them. It's where you're going to get all the best stuff. It's just what you want in general. So yeah, launch site is the ultimate monument. Is what you want to run. Right now there's a glitch where you can basically jump through the window, and that makes it all that much better. That glitch is going to be fixed, but once it's fixed, launch site is still sort of the best monument out there. It's the one you want to run. After launch site, I'd say Airfield has to be the second best monument. The reason for this is to run launch site, what you're going to need is you're going to need a red key card. The only place you can get that is Airfield. So if launch site's number 1, Airfield has to be number 2. So yeah, Airfield's got that red key card. In addition to that, if you've got, to get the red key card, you're going to need a green and a blue key card for Airfield. But once you have those, you can actually get quite a few boxes from running it. So even if you don't have the key card, you can run sort of a circle around Airfield and get a good amount of boxes. So you're probably talking like, I don't know, 10 or 11 boxes from that, right? If you've got the key card, you can go down underground and run through a bunch of doors, and you're going to get something like 9 boxes. These boxes can also be those tier 2 component boxes or tier 1. A lot of tier 1 boxes are going to be at Airfield, but if you do a full run, you're almost guaranteed to find at least 3 to 4 tier 2 boxes. So Airfield's pretty solid. You get that red key card. It's definitely monument number 2. So we're going to rank these. Excuse the horrible handwriting here. So that's 1 and 2. Next up for 3, I think this one's going to surprise a lot of people. I'd say it's got to be Dome. Okay, so there's multiple monuments that are going to loot blue and green key cards, but Dome is pretty much the only monument you can run without ever having any key card whatsoever. It's one of those monuments that you can literally spawn in early game and run it. So let's say you spawn in here, run over here, grab some hemp. You can create yourself just sort of a full clothing set, and then you just run right to Dome. You've taken care of the radiation because you have that clothing set. You can run the full sort of length of Dome, and basically you're guaranteed to get 4 tier 2 boxes at the very top of Dome. It takes a little bit to understand how to run the monument, but once you've got it down in like 4 minutes, you can solidly run the monument, get to the top, get down, and you've got a ton of loot. It's a really good monument early game, and it's severely underrated by the player base. So right now, Dome has to be number 3, and a lot of you really should be running it. After that, I'm going to say 4 is going to go to Sewer Branch. The reasoning behind this is Sewer Branch has a few different places where you can get loot. So there's a jump puzzle in the middle of Sewer Branch you can run to get loot. This jump puzzle, again, it's sort of hard to get the hang of, but once you get the hang of it, you're going to be able to do it like that. You get to the top. You've got a few tier 2 boxes, at least 1, I'd say, and like 3 crates. There's 4 boxes in total, I think, or maybe 5. It's quite a bit of loot you get by running a fairly simple jump puzzle. In addition to that, if you've got a green key card, you can go down into the Sewer Branch, and then you're going to get something like 9 more crates. I don't know the crates off the top of my head, but I know it's a lot, and I just run it because I know it's a really good one to run. So you're also going to get your blue key card from here. In addition to that, you can get a blue key card from Satellite Dish, which is a pretty good monument. It's somewhat solid, but I'd say it's number 5. It's number 5 because you can get the blue key card from here. There's usually not that many people here. It's got a blueprint table, which is really nice to have. It's also got a recycler, which again is really nice to have. Pretty vacant. And you can go up on top of the satellite dishes, get 1 box per dish. You can run around the outskirts, you get another box or 2 there. And then if you've got that green key card, you can swipe it and get 2 more boxes and a blue key card. So pretty solid monument. After this, we're sort of getting into the weeds with these monuments. They're none that you really want to focus on, but they exist, so let's just go over them. You've got the gas station. A lot of new players end up here. Sort of a shit show anytime you go there, but if you run it at the right time, you can get a green key card. That's about all the good that's going to come out of that. I think there's a tier 2 crate that usually spawns in the corner of one place in the gas station. I got videos on all this, but it's not that great of a monument. You're usually not going to find anything too useful there, but I'm just going to make it 6 because everything else is sort of complete shit. You got mining outpost. I'd say that's 7. Lighthouse, it's 7 because you can just run through it, get some easy loot. Again, a lot of new players there. Sort of sucks. Not that great. Lighthouse doesn't have any loot really whatsoever, but that was a horrible 8. We're going to make this number 8 because you can get the green key card here, and it's always good to get those green key cards. It's a pretty easy monument to run, but generally you're only going to find 1 or 2 boxes here. Not really worth your time. I'd honestly avoid this. And last but not least, we've got Habor. The reason I'm rating this 9 is because I haven't really found anything too great at Habor ever. It's okay. You can run into Habor. You can usually use a recycler there, but everything's very spaced out, and there's really not that much loot there. You've got to jump around. You usually fall into the water. It's just annoying, especially with how water in the console version of Rust works. You fall in there, and it's like you fell into quicksand. It's impossible to get anywhere, and you really feel like you're just unable to swim. It's horrible. I really don't like running Habor, especially with the way swimming works. One sort of saving grace of Habor is that the recyclers are fairly unvisited. So I think in one of the monuments, you can find the recycler sort of right about here. And in another one, they're going to be out on a pier. The one where they're out on the pier is really nice because it's sort of a nice choke point. You can go there, use the recycler. If anybody's coming, you can shoot them down, blast them away, and you can just recycle your gear. But if you're over at Habor recycling, you're probably in the early stages anyways, so there's a good chance you're going to get killed no matter what. Now, monuments I didn't really cover, Outpost and Bandit Camp. That's because you don't really... Oops. All right, and we're back. So, yeah, I didn't cover Outpost and Bandit Camp because I don't really consider those to be monuments. I mean, they are monuments. You can run them. You can find some really good stuff there if you have scrap to buy stuff with, but you're not going to be looting anything there. Bandit Camp has a glitch where you can build your bases all around it, which is really nice, but that glitch is going away. You can gamble scrap there, which is cool. Outpost, you can find a lot of really good stuff. You can get a DB. You can use the recycler. Same with Bandit Camp, by the way. A lot of nice stuff you can do there, like nice to haves. But they're not monuments you're going to be finding loot in, so I didn't consider them your typical monument. It's the same with sort of the sulfur quarry, stone quarry, all of that stuff. Sulfur quarry and high quality metal quarries, those are extremely underrated if you know how to use them, but I don't think this video or this guide is the place to put that. But yeah, those are out there. They're really good. They're really useful. A lot of clans use those to their full potential. But if you're a solo and those things aren't taken, you can just run in there and get some really good loot by that. So now let's talk about this map, okay? Because the map does affect the monuments, and it sort of affects where you want to build. The ranking and loot and everything like that is still the same, but here's an example, okay? The gas station being right here, that makes it a lesser monument than if it was something like right here or right here. If the gas station's right here, what you can do is spawn in, run to the gas station, run right to Satellite Dish, run right to Airfield. That's a really nice path that you can run, and that's a lot of loot you can get in a very short time by running that path. So then it's definitely a higher tier monument than you'd think. That would raise it up in my rankings. Then I'd say gas station, that might be 5, right? Because 5's gas station, let's say 4 is Sat Dish, 2 is going to be Airfield. We're still going to give 3 to the Dome, but that nice lineup that you can run right there is just perfect, okay? And in addition to that, let's say you put your base right here. You run this, you can go to your base, and then you can just take a boat all the way to launch site. That's one thing a lot of people forget. If a monument is right on the water, I mean, Habor and Lighthouse are always going to be on the water, so that doesn't count. But if a monument is going to be right on the water, that makes it all that much useful, and that raises its tier up. Like if Airfield's on the water, it might almost become a tier 1 monument instead of launch. Actually, no, nothing's ever going to beat launch site. But let's say Dome was right on the water, Airfield's in the middle of the map. Dome might actually become that number 2 monument because you can just run it so much easier. Sewer Branch could beat out Dome if it's on the water, especially if it's in like a sort of cold area, because then you're getting rid of a lot of new players. And a lot of people just don't bother with it because they don't want to deal with the cold. It's a little weird, but it's true. Like people don't like dealing with cold and cliffs and everything like that, so they'll avoid those areas a lot of the time. So a monument in the cold and on the water, that can be worth way more than a monument that's sort of right in the middle of it all, or right by Outpost, or right by where new players spawn. So you've got to consider the positioning on the map too, especially when it comes to where you're going to build your base and everything like that. Generally, when it comes to bases, I don't build anything near launch site because those tend to get raided a lot. The way clans and sort of anyone thinks about it is if you're building around launch site, you know what you're doing, okay? They think they're going to raid you because you probably have good gear there. So they go ahead and raid you and hope that you've got some tier 3 stuff. If you build your base like way out here, people might not know what you're doing. They might think you're a new player just trying to avoid things. I mean, usually a clan's going to wall off the whole island. But if they didn't, you could build a base right here. A lot of people are going to avoid it. But it's like a sleeper base because you can literally run launch site just like this. And if you're smart, you can do something like you take your boat, let's say this, take your boat up to Lighthouse, take it down to Harbor. You've got your blue and you've got your green right here and your blue key cards. After this, you can go back to your base. And then from here, you can easily run Airfield. So you just park your boat here, run up to Airfield, come back, take your boat back. And now you've got all your key cards and you can go ahead and run launch site. Again, to get to launch site, you're going to need to go through Airfield or kill someone with the red key card. But yeah, there's some like fishiness that can go on based on where monument's located. In this case too, Airfield is sort of it should be higher ranked. If there were enough monuments, it would be higher ranked than some of the other monuments that you might be thinking, like train station, because it's right by Outpost. Being right by Outpost is nice because again, you can run Airfield. If the situation gets too hot, you can usually pop out of the monument fairly close, like pop out of the puzzle fairly close to the outpost, run to the outpost, and you're safe, assuming you haven't attacked anyone. Being able to do that is key because you can shake a lot of heat at outposts. You can just chill out there. You can put down your controller at Outpost. You can go smoke your bong, do whatever you're going to do. Actually, I don't recommend doing drugs when you're playing Rust. It's just those two don't go together. You get high, you end up giving away your shotgun to someone and they just blast your face off. It's a horrible experience. It's going to ruin your high. So like, I don't know, go play My Little Pony or something cool. Anyways, but no, like Outpost is like a key thing. If you ever end up like right here, Bandit Camp and launch site being so close together, that's really nice because at the end of a launch site run, you can run right to Bandit Camp and do some recycling too. And then you can run off to your base. So like another thing you might want to do is utilize that, right? So now let's say launch site even has a higher ranking, or Bandit Camp would have a higher ranking because the way you do it, you get done running launch site, right away you just head over to the Bandit Camp. You're safe. You can sort of hang out, gamble, do whatever you're going to do. And then maybe you've got a base that's sort of like over here in no man's land. You can run up there. You can hide your tier 3 stuff here. And any clan that's sort of patrolling around the launch site to raid people for those tier 3 components, you're sort of outside of their circle, outside of their area, because a lot of new players are going to build there too. A lot of new players are going to be interested in Dome. They're going to be interested in a bunch of these sort of like different monuments because the best players you're generally going to find around launch site. After that, where you're going to find the next best players are going to be around Airfield, and then everybody's sort of scattered throughout the map. So again, like if you're really good, launch site, set up your base there, ton of PvP, ton of fun, a lot of clans, going to really suck if you're solo, but if you're really good, you're going to be able to handle it. I can't. Next up, you've got Airfield. This is sort of where I'd hang out, where someone with a little bit more experience will hang out. You can create a good base. It won't get raided too early into the game. You can run Airfield quite a bit. You're going to get some good PvP in there, but still, like, it's fun, but you're not dealing with those, like, 30-man Zergs usually. Next up, you put something out by Dome. You put something out by Sewer Branch. Not as many people are going to be there. It's not going to be the best, like, crowd as far as skill level goes, but it's a really easy sort of place to put yourself because you can run the monuments. In this case, these two are like super high up on my list just because of this. Like you've got Lighthouse right here, Sewer right here. So you put your base here. You can run Lighthouse, get that green key card, go to Sewer. You run the whole branch. You can stick your blue key card wherever you want. And then you've got Dome here too. So if you ever run out of key cards or you just don't want to bother, you can do a quick run of Dome, get a ton of loot. This is like a key place to put a base. It looks like I just drew We're not gonna talk about that. Um, but yeah, it's like an amazing place to put a base right there, especially if you're new, sort of newer to the game. Because again, the clans are all gonna stick around launch site. Mid-level players are all gonna stick around airfield. This whole area, you can just rock and roll out here if you're new. Actually, what do we have here? Interesting. But yeah, like there's really a ton of options, and hopefully this helps some of you guys out. It gave you some ideas to think about. Also, if you're wondering, loot generally spawns every 15 to 30 minutes on a monument, depending on how active the server is. But if you sit out and camp a monument, the loot really isn't going to respawn. So those of you who are just sitting in launch site trying to camp it, I think that delays the timer at the very least. Sometimes I think the loot just won't spawn at all. So probably not what you want to do. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, please feel free to leave them down below. I know some of you guys probably don't disagree with my tier list, but I'm really interested to hear why. I'm open to suggestions. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the support you've given me. I hope this video was a good quality. I hope you like sort of how I delivered it. Sometimes people like the style, sometimes they don't. Anyways, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Until next time, peace.